Hi, so today I'm doing my March wrap-up, and I read 6 books in the month of March, and I'm really happy about that. Only one was for school and all the rest I read on my own, and I'm really happy with the amount that I read because I had a lot going on in March, a lot of essays due, and I still found time for reading, and I'm really happy about that. So the first book I read in March was The Good Soldier by Ford Madox Ford. I read this over my March break, and I buddy read this with Antonia from 28 Bookmarks. Basically the story of two couples, one American, one British, and it looks at their relationships, and there's a lot of drama, there's adultery, there is death. It's very dramatic, and I would say that that's probably the main adjective I would use to describe the story. It takes place before World War I, and it actually used to be called The Saddest Story Ever Told, and apparently Ford Madox Ford had to change the title because after World War I, people didn't think that the title was appropriate. Anyway, the book is told from an unreliable narrator's point of view, so you don't quite know if what you're reading is the truth, and as you get further on in the book, you kind of realize that certain things were not quite right at the beginning, and it's kind of confusing in that way, and there were parts of the book that I really got confused. But overall, I kind of liked this book. I wouldn't say that I loved it, and I think maybe I really wasn't in the mood for it at the time. I would recommend it if you're a fan of 20th century literature because Ford Madox Ford is an important author, and he's kind of overlooked, so I do think it's important to read his books. Next, I read Sula by Toni Morrison, and this was my pick for Read Morrison 2014, and I did a review of this, and I'm going to link that down below so you can check it out. I gave it 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it. The next book I read was for school, and this is The Clown. I read this for my German literature course, and it's the story of a 27-year-old man, and his profession is to be a clown, and he is going through a bit of a crisis, and the book only takes place over the course of 4 hours. However, there are many flashbacks, and you see all of the events that lead up to this crisis, and I really enjoyed this. It kind of reminded me of Catcher in the Rye, and then I found out that while the author was writing this book, he was translating The Catcher in the Rye from English into German, so I thought that made a lot of sense. And overall, I'd heard of this author, but I'd never really read anything of his, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to reading more of his works. Next, I read Half of a Yellow Sun, and this was the International Reads pick for this month, and this basically centers around the Biafran War in Nigeria. It centers around several people, so there's Olana and her twin sister and their respective husbands, and then there's Olana's houseboy Ugwu, and it looks through several people's perspectives, and it looks at the Biafran War, and overall it's just a very interesting look at the Biafran War, and I really enjoyed reading it. I found it really captivating, and I especially liked Ugwu. He was just such a nice person to read about. I have to say there was one thing that I found really annoying, and it involves the white guy Richard, and I'm not going to say in this video because it's a bit of a spoiler, but if you read the book you probably know what I'm talking about, and if not, ask me in the comments and I'll let you know. And I haven't done a review of this mostly because I haven't really had much time to do reviews this month, but if you really want me to do a review, I will, so let me know in the comments, and if enough people have interest in seeing a review, I'll make sure to do one. Before I forget, I went and I found Half of a Yellow Sun on my bookcase, and I was wondering if anyone else noticed, and I'm not sure if you can see in the video, but the book is kind of, it's not straight. So if you see right here, it's like it's cut at an angle, or it was printed at an angle, and I'm not sure if anyone else had this problem, but I thought that was kind of weird. So the next book I got was a bit of a surprise. I wasn't expecting to read it, but I went by the library and I picked out a couple books, and then I saw that Liz Loves Literature was also going to read the book, so I decided to just go and read it, and that is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn, and I read this over the course of 2 days, and it was super fast-paced. Sharp Objects is about a woman whose name I forget, but I will include an annotation in this video to let you guys know, and she goes back to her hometown to investigate/report on a crime that had recently happened, and then she goes back into her family environment, and it's a very strange environment, and it was really fast-paced, and I really enjoyed reading it, but I didn't find myself being blown away by it. So the last book I read was Lady Audley's Secret, which really surprised me because it was so fast-paced, especially for a Victorian novel. I don't really want to say much about it because I'm going to be doing a Google Hangout with Mercedes for Mercy's Bookish Musings. We haven't decided whose channel it's going to be on, but it's going to be on Saturday the 5th of April at 11 a.m. Eastern. I will include an annotation with whose channel it'll be on so that you can make sure to tune in and watch our discussion. Those are the books that I read in March. As far as my Mount TBR challenge, for anyone who doesn't know what Mount TBR is, it's that you pledge to read a certain amount of books that you purchase before December 31st of that year, and I pledged to read 36 books, and in order to accomplish this, I need to read 3 books a month, and this month I only read 2. However, I can easily catch up with this, and because I've been doing really well so far. What happened in March? I hope you guys had a great March, and I hope you guys have a great April. If you want to know what I'm going to be reading in April, I'm going to leave a link down below to my April TBR, and you can check out, and maybe we could buddy read something. And I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys soon.